Welcome to Two Guys, a Girl, and a Podcast. We're talking about all kinds of things, mostly Doctor Who in this episode. We're talking about a big news that Russell T Davies is coming back to Doctor Who. So I am
Yay.
Ken.
Jeff.
Julia.
Okay, so before we get to the big Russell T Davies debate, a couple of bits and pieces of news. I don't really have anything except for in Doctor Who news. They're going to animate Galaxy 4, which is pretty big news because they haven't animated too many William Hartnell episodes. So this is pretty cool.
Yeah, they haven't done a full episode like they have with the Troughton ones. They've done like, what was that one in France?
10th Planet or
10th Planet, yeah.
Reign of Terror.
But they've only done like they'd add the missing episode. They would animate that, but the rest was like all.
Yeah.
All
This
there.
is a full episode. There's a few minutes of clips that exist.
And episode 3, Airlock.
The whole episode?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't even think I've ever seen it actually because it hasn't
Because
really been
they
available.
released it on the Aztec special edition like 10 years ago or whatever, and I was just like,
I never bought it. I never bought it because I had Aztecs already.
Yeah,
Wanted
it
to
was
play
like-
again.
you could, but you could find it on Daily Motion or whatever.
Yeah.
You could, yeah.
And I might have watched it. I know I watched some of the Underwater Menace that way, but hopefully the animation is good. I mean,
Well,
I
A lot of
didn't
people are saying it is.
okay.
I've seen it.
I saw the
Well,
looks like there's a
Is it
trailer.
always the same people who do the animation, or do they use different?
No, they use different. They're now using different animator studios because I think they want to crank a lot of them out quicker.
Well, Julia, ask me why they're using different animated studios.
Because the other ones sucked? I don't know.
No, there's no real good reason. A lot of people are saying they use different people because they want to keep a lot of them going. In other words, like, well, this animated studio is busy doing this one, so let's go do another one. No, that's stupid because they're coming out so infrequently. Maybe they're coming out a little more frequently, but just stick with one that works. Don't go with the last one. Everyone's saying, was it Web of Fear? Everyone's saying it was horrible. So
Yeah,
don't
but
don't
thankfully
use
that
them
was
again.
only.
What
Thankfully
was
that
the
was
one
only
that took place in like an airport?
the faceless
Faceless.
ones.
Was that Patrick Troughton?
Yeah,
Yeah. I kind of liked the animation for that one.
Yeah.
It was really like retro. It almost, I never watched the show, but what is it called? Archer?
No,
yeah,
yeah.
it looked like
There's
that.
an animated show, Archer, that was, I guess, was it set in the 60s or something? It sort of had that Mad Men vibe.
Yeah.
And I liked that. I mean, I'm a big fan of that era and look
Mhm.
for a lot of things, so I kind of liked that look. So
Yeah.
if they kept doing it with that,
Yeah,
I might give it a shot. I don't
they
know.
did a screening of Evil of the Daleks animation, which just came out in England,
Yeah.
and a lot of people loved the animation.
Okay.
Hmm.
Well, good. I mean, hopefully they keep that going.
I hope so.
I mean,
Yeah,
from the
I'm not an animated. I don't watch any animated shows unless my kids are watching them, and I'm not because I'm just not a huge fan. And I mean, I am historically not a fan of classic Doctor Who, so it's like double.
yeah,
It's a
I-
double strike.
I think the reason I don't want animated episodes. I'd rather have the full episodes. We're not going to necessarily get them ever. So it's kind of like I want to experience it. Give me something that's okay, that's passable. I don't want to be blown. I know they're not going to give this animation that we're going to be blown away by. We're not going to look at this and go, "Oh my God, this is like Pixar."
Right.
You know, it's not going to be like that. So I just want something that's not going to detract too much from the show and be like, ugh.
Yeah, like Web of
Mhm.
Fear.
Mhm.
Oh,
Speaking
boy.
of animation, I don't know if anyone caught this. I haven't had the urge to watch the Disney animated Star Wars stuff. They're doing an anime series of shorts.
I haven't watched it yet, but I heard it's been getting some people like it, some people don't type deal.
Yeah. What's
I mean-
it called? Yeah,
About it.
Visions or something. It's a they put Star Wars in anime, so it looks like anime. So they have the big eyes, and they're like, ooh, and you know how the girls are like all high pitched. Like, I think
Mm.
it's a little bit like that, but it looks like anime, and some of it looks interesting. I like anime, but I'm not a big fan of it, so I don't know. I don't know. I might catch it sometime, maybe,
Mm.
but that's available on Disney
Is it in
Plus.
English or is it in an Asian language with subtitles?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I'm
Because I
not.
know I've got one kid who loves anime, but she'll only watch it in foreign languages. Not with subtitles. She has no idea what they're saying.
Really.
Yes.
Well, my
She,
son does the same thing. He gets the Pokemon and it's in Japanese. And I'm like, do you even understand what's going on? He says, oh, no, I just watch it. But then 6 months later, I'll watch the American version. And
uh,
I'm like, okay, knock yourself out then.
Well, I think I mentioned this before that the Blade Runner's doing an anime, and on Crunchyroll it's going to be in Japanese, and Adult Swim it's going to be in American or English, and I'm not sure if which one I'll watch. I mean, I think if it originally was originated in Japan, I probably will actually watch the Japanese with the subtitles because I'm okay with subtitles. I watch movies all the time with subtitles. But if it's kind of co-produced and they're making it, maybe I'll watch it with English. I don't know,
yeah.
but anyway,
Is the original Star Blazer streaming anywhere?
it might be on Crunchyroll. I'm not sure. I don't get Crunchyroll.
You got to
Country.
pay for that? Or
I'm
is it
not
one of
sure.
those
I
freebies?
think you have to pay for it. I'm not sure.
You have to pay for some. I think you have to pay for. I think they have tiers.
Oh,
So like some stuff you can watch for free, like Hulu used to do. Um,
yeah, yeah.
but I'm not sure. I haven't looked into it in a long time because again, not an anime fan.
Neither am I.
Speaking of
Star-
Hulu, I guess Orville is finally having its next season on Hulu. It's been delayed, obviously, because of COVID, but I've said it before. Um, I still agree with it. Orville is the best Star Trek show on TV right now. It's not Star Trek, but it's much better than Star Trek right now.
Horrorville?
Orville. It's the same guy who does Family Guy,
Oh,
Seth MacFarlane,
McFarlane.
which I don't necessarily like some of. I mean, I don't like
didn't he
some
do
of his
South
humor.
Park too?
No,
No.
he doesn't do South Park, but it's actually really good. There's some really good stories. Some of the humor is like, oh boy, I'm going to get high in my. Okay, yeah, that's funny, haha. But then they actually have some really funny. Some of the stuff's really funny, and then some of the stuff is really serious. And I'm
Hmm.
watching it. I'm like, this is better than Discovery. Um, which is because he's a Star Trek fan and he loves science fiction, he's Star Wars and stuff. So he put some effort into this thing, and I don't know what the Hulu season's going to look like, but yeah. So, anyways, I figured I'd mention that. Speaking of other things that we're currently investing some time in, what are you guys experiencing for books or TV shows or movies or anything? Have you seen anything good or could recommend anything?
I listened to the Ninth Doctor Adventures, the first one that came out, the box set. It's called Ravagers. And there's 3 stories. They're all connected together. It's like a 3-parter. It's called, first one's Sphere of Freedom, Cataclysm, and Food Fight. And it's written and directed by Nicholas Briggs, who's also the voice of Daleks. And I thought it was pretty good. It was a
Yep.
neat story,
Okay.
typical Doctor Who type story. And I'm just thinking, listening to it, I'm like, gee, I imagine if he had more than just the one season
Yeah.
and stuff. And it's like like the rest of them, it's like he never really left the part. And it's
Mhm.
just like really good to hear more from Christopher Eccleston. And he definitely sounded really not going through the motions. He looked down like he was really into it. So I was like, I found it was fun. I enjoyed it.
Good. Like I said, I might actually break down and listen to those as well, because there's no way, from what we've been hearing recently, there's no way he's coming back to the, if they do a.
No, that
No.
ship is that boat has sailed. So
Yeah. I just read, it's it's a few years old now because they made a movie out of it a while back, but The Perks of Being a Wallflower, which is, I guess, sort of aimed at high school age kids. It's a very small book. It was so great. It's written from the point of view of a high school boy who's a freshman in high school, and he's the wallflower, and he is like writing to somebody. You don't know who, because he just addresses every letter as dear friend.
Hmm.
And he talks about his, what's going on in his life and the issues that he's having and the relationships that he makes with the people that he's in school with. It starts off with his talking about the guy who had been his best friend in junior high committed suicide. And so now he doesn't have any friends. And so he's trying to make friends. It's kind of heartbreaking and funny
Yeah.
and uplifting. I don't know. I really, really liked it. Like, I've been pushing it on one of my kids to read because I think he'd get a lot out of it too, but he's not a big reader. So
Yeah.
I really recommend it. And it's a very quick read. I mean, I read it in like 2 days. So, because it's like maybe 125, 150 pages.
It
But
sounds
it's
like
really good.
it reminds me a little bit. There's a whole bunch of, this is like I don't know if it's recent, but a whole bunch of those types of books out there where these adults are writing about their childhood.
Hmm.
And most of those are like, my daughter's experiencing the younger versions of those.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Wonder is sort
Yep.
of like that, where there's the kid who's um, looks different than everyone else, and he wears that space helmet around and stuff like that. And there's other ones that are Diary of a Wimpy Kid and stuff like that. I think are based in a reality that these people are now translating into.
Mm.
Again, the concept is based. Whether or not all the stories are true or not is probably not, but reminds me a little bit of that. I'm just trying to find something that and obviously that one sounds like it's more of a later teens than
Yeah,
kids.
I would say. I mean, I don't think a 10-year-old would get much out of it, but definitely middle school, high school.
Mm,
And I know that I think it was what's her name? Hermione, who played Hermione, Emma Watson,
yeah.
was in the movie version of it. I didn't see the movie, but one of my kids did,
Mhm.
and she really liked the movie. There's a lot of good young adult literature out there. I mean,
Yeah.
it's amazing. I used to read more of that than I read fiction. Um, but yeah, there's a lot of great stuff out there.
One of the most horrific stories that I've ever seen on a movie was The Bridge to Terabitha. Terabitha.
Oh God, oh,
We watched the movie. I had never read the book. I watched the movie with Dawn and a couple of friends, and I was horrified by that movie. It was just
it's
so
so
depressing. And
yeah.
I'm like, why would they make kids read this? My daughter would be traumatized with it.
I know, and it won like all kinds of awards and stuff. I mean, I don't think that books aimed at kids and teens need to be all happy, clappy,
classics. Yeah.
everything's fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, Bridge to Terabithia was pretty brutal.
I mean, I think if you watch a fantasy with people dying left and right, that's better than watching something like that because it's so based in reality. And
Yeah.
it's like the kid makes a decision to go, whatever. It's just, I'm not going to get into it, but it's just, it's, anyways.
Yeah, it's rough. It's rough. I agree with you.
On the
But
other side of
I
the,
remember when I
go ahead.
was a kid reading books, even like reading Little Women. When Beth dies in Little Women, I cried my eyes out when I
Yeah.
read that.
Yeah. But was that for kids though?
Mhm.
Little Women, yeah. Um, yeah. So, speaking of books for kids, I'm reading Books of Blood. Oh wait, maybe that's not for kids. It's a Clive Barker book series that he wrote in the 80s, and I've never read them before. And I said I'm in a little bit of a kind of a horror, rip people apart mood. So I'll
Well, it
read
is the
these.
Halloween season, so
Yeah, well, but I've been watching a lot of horror movies recently, so I said I'll read another. I've been reading some ghost books. Can't remember the author offhand. I'll come up with it later, but they're very tame. They would be books that kids could read, that teenagers could read. They're scary to a degree, but there's no one really dies. Like, well, I guess that's not true. Some do, but they're very tame. But the Books of Blood's not tame. It's very violent and gory and everything. So that's what I'm reading those right now. I'm enjoying those to a degree. They're like an
I
anthology series, so they're like short stories. So
Oh,
anyways,
I didn't
well,
know Clive Barker did short stories.
yeah. And I guess there's a movie or a TV show out that I didn't realize existed. It came out last year, so I might look into that.
Hmm.
Oh, it's on Hulu. So,
I get Hulu. I got the Disney bundle.
yeah. Well, I think
Yeah,
I might be cutting the cable next year. Cutting the cord, and I might be going with Hulu because Hulu has a live local TV shows, TTV,
does it?
yeah,
Oh, I didn't know
Hulu
that.
Live or whatever. You can get but we don't watch a lot of any live TV at all practically. So, but anyways, that might be a possibility.
I read some stuff too.
Yeah.
I read um IDW has a series which comes to an end. It's called Star Trek Year 5, and so I bought the first volume, which is issues 1 through 6, and it's supposed to take place the fifth and final year of the Starship Enterprise, the original series.
Okay.
And I wasn't bad. I thought it was pretty good.
Mhm.
It was your typical Star Trek thing.
Okay.
And I also read Batman the World, which is a short story collections from writers and artists from all over the world. And I thought it was good. There were some that were clunkers, and there were some that were really good, but I thought it was for the most part pretty good. So it came out. I read it on Batman Day, which was last Saturday, while
Okay.
I was like laid up doing nothing.
Yeah. Okay. Good. So, let's hop into this topic because I've been eager to talk about it. When I first heard about it, my reaction was kind of like, eh. Then more I thought about it, the more I thought that this was really interesting. Before we get into it, though, we have already talked about this, by the way. I don't know if you guys remember. I went back and found that in episode 129 of our podcast, we actually talked about what sort of things could they do to re-energize Doctor Who, and we mentioned bringing back Moffat or Russell T Davies. So not that we predicted this, but we mentioned would they bring those people back, and I think with Moffat we were all like, no, no, no. But Russell T Davies, and that's what's happening. I guess we have 8 episodes coming up from Chibnall.
Something like that, yeah.
Something like that in 3 specials.
3 specials? I thought it was
Yeah.
one special. Oh. So now
No, there's like 3 specials. It's like either 3 specials or 2 specials.
okay. Well, we're not done with Chibnall yet. We still have to trudge through the sewer before we can get out.
Yes, we
Be a
do.
while before we get to it. And Jeff had made a comment. Um, they could still do a lot of damage to the show. The
Mm.
ratings could still go down. The creativity could just hit even worse. By the time Russell T Davies gets to it, and this is one of the questions I want to bring up maybe later, is the show going to be salvageable? both creatively and ratings wise. So before we get into that, though, what do you guys think of the news that Russell T Davies is coming back? He's going to do the 60th anniversary, and he's going to be the new showrunner for however,
I mean, I think it's great news. I'm
Okay.
I'm thrilled. I mean, I really dislike what Chibnall's done to the show, and Moffat's storylines were too convoluted and too, just whatever. Well, that's just how it is, kind of like some of the things that he didn't. I don't know how to. I don't know how to put it. Like there was no explanation for it.
Yep.
And you were just supposed to accept it
Mhm.
and not question. And I don't know. As I know, Russell T Davies wasn't perfect by any means, but he was better than Chibnall.
Oh, absolutely.
Well,
And I mean, Moffat was okay, but Moffat wrote some great episodes.
yes. He
I
was
just
better at writing for Russell T Davies than he was for when he was taking over as showrunner.
Yes.
And I think all three of us sort of agree that the show has deteriorated throughout it's for each producer that's come in, it's gotten worse.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big sweeping statement. There's episodes from Moffat's era that are fantastic. There are
Yep.
episodes from Russell T Davies that suck. But overall, it's the quality is deteriorating. The ratings have also gone down. Now that's not necessarily just because the quality has gone down, although I'm pretty sure that's a huge part of it.
Mm.
It's because there's such a diversity in ways you can experience the show now, whereas it used to be one, now it's in all kinds of different streaming platforms and everything. So it's harder to track the ratings. And I think people just they lose interest. Like anything, a show that goes on for a long time, you lose interest in it.
Well, yeah, and I think the other problem is that there's such a long break now
Mm,
in between. I mean, like this, COVID, okay, that's different. That's an exception. But even before that happened, there would be, a year, sometimes 18 months between seasons. And it's like, you're not doing full seasons the way, in Britain, they don't do seasons the way we do on American TV.
yep.
And that's fine. But most shows in Britain come out every year. Even if it's only 6 episodes or even only 3
Right.
episodes. You know,
Exactly, because when Russell did it, he did 4 seasons in a row of 13 episodes with Christmas specials, 4 years in a row.
yeah,
Where Moffat kind of sort of did, but then they said, "Oh, we want to move it to the fall," and they had like this weird thing. But Chibnall did a season, and you waited a whole year. It was like every other year, and you're just like,
yeah,
forget what's going on, and you lose
yeah,
interest.
one
And
month. Yeah, and I think, yeah, that definitely doesn't help.
Hmm.
And then you add to the fact that the writing and everything has just gone downhill.
Yep.
People are like, why am I going to watch that? That show sucks now.
Hmm.
I mean, I kind of got that way with Supernatural. The show didn't suck, but I was like, I've been watching this. I've watched 12 seasons of Supernatural. I'm kind of done with these boys. I like them. It's a fun show. At times it's hilarious. At times I'm watching through my fingers, but I'm kind of done with the demons,
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And, Doctor Who does kind of change. And Supernatural changed to a degree. They would have seasons where they dealt with one particular, it used to be monster of the week, and then they brought in all the angels and demons, and that
Yeah.
changed the show drastically. And it kept it fresh for a while. But I agree with you. Toward the end, it was kind of like, is this show still going on? I mean,
Yeah.
but and I don't think it necessarily ended that well. I didn't
I didn't,
like.
I have, like I said, I think I stopped watching about maybe mid-season 13, or I
Oh,
may have
okay.
started season 14. So I haven't
Yeah.
watched, I didn't
Yeah.
watch the end of it.
Yeah. Anyways, I'm not going to get into that. But so one thing that I think is the biggest right now. Right now, the biggest thing about Russell T Davis is, and I don't know if you guys are aware of this or not, but I'm not a big fan of Russell T Davis.
Never would have guessed. Never would have guessed.
But when you think about what episodes he's done compared to recently, every season I had 2 to 3 episodes that I thought were fantastic. I thought End of the World was pretty good. Dalek was fantastic. Empty Child and Dr. Dance is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
That's in one season. And then the following season, School Reunion was fantastic. Girl in the Fireplace. These are all written by the way, most of these are written by someone else, not Russell T Davis. But when you get to some of the Moffats and Chibnalls, I had trouble finding 1 or 2 that I liked per season.
Mm.
So I think the biggest thing is, can Russell T Davis bring back quality writers? And can he bring back some sort of organization and something that works? I don't necessarily want to see Russell Davis write a bunch of episodes because I don't have confidence in that as much. But if he can bring back good writers,
Yeah.
I don't know if it's all writers' faults. I don't, from the last couple of seasons. I don't know. But
Well, I think it had combination with the writers and the BBC, because a lot of people have complaints about the BBC, not just with Doctor Who, but other shows keep pushing their agenda into
yep.
the shows.
Mhm.
So if Russell can tell the BBC, stay out, let me do my own thing,
I
because
mm,
Doctor Who has always had like issues in there where they've done like the one with the Santaran, they did, where Donna's grandfather was stuck in the car and the Atmos thing. They've always had like subtle in the background. This one's about pollution and stuff like that. They've always had that. So hopefully, if Russell can do that and make it the story simple, like creatures and aliens and stuff, and make it a show for escapism.
I mean, how much influence do you think the BBC has over this show?
I don't know. I think we're guessing at that. I think I was coming up with that solution because I didn't think Chibnall was that bad that he could have done this all on his own. I think there is a level of shows sometimes have to check off some boxes. And I
Yeah.
think the studio heads and companies and corporations say you need to have something of this in there, you know, and so, or it could be Chibnall going, I want to put something about plastic with birds, so let's do this story.
Well, that you could do that. I mean, look at the Green Death. That was obviously about pollution and stuff, but the pollution was like in the background. And you look, you said, "Oh, well, the pollution is what caused the maggots to mutate and become killer giant maggots, and then turn into giant killing flies."
Yeah,
So it was. You didn't have to hammer pollution is bad. Pollution is bad. Like throughout the whole story, we kind of figured it out.
well, but let's say I think writers have the ability to be subtle. I mean, there's so much good stuff out there that you watch it, read it, whatever, and then afterwards you're like, oh, that's a commentary on this and this and this. But in this case, Doctor Who seems to have been dumbed down to the degree where someone has to come up and say, you guys better do a better job with this because, and it's preachy.
Mm-hmm.
And Doctor Who can be preachy, and it has been preachy in the classic, but it's a lot more subtle about it. If someone doesn't agree with what they say in Doctor Who, you can say, "Oh, it's preachy," but it's like, well, wait a minute. Now it's if it's subtle, then it's okay. Well, whatever. I'm not gonna.
Yeah, no, I
Right.
know what you mean. There's a way to do it and incorporate it invisibly into the story that isn't hitting you over the head with whatever thing they're trying to say is bad or it's just there's Chibnall was not subtle
Well,
at all.
allow the viewers to make the decision. Allow us to decide whether or not Liaz is a good character or a good person. Allow us to decide whether or not the Master or the Sidemen are bad guys. Present the facts. Show the birds. Find out they detect that the plastic is involved, and they go, "Why is that?" And just tell us why. But don't sit there. I mean, the doctor can sometimes do that because the doctor has always sort of made comments about, well, geez, if your government's corrupt, then this is what's happening. Those are like almost backhanded comments. That could still happen, but it just felt like it went too far with this latest season, especially. That's just one element. Uh, but if you dumb it down and but they've been doing that for a while. They've been telling us, Moffat and Russell T Davies have both done this. They both tell us that the Doctor is fantastic. We know that. Just show us. Just don't sit there and you know have someone talk for 15 minutes about how great the Doctor is. Those things I hated and all of them did it. All the producers did it. It got worse with Moffat, I think, maybe, but anyways, so I'm surprised, a little bit surprised by this, but I think right out of the gate, you're going to get a lot of fans back into the show with Russell T Davies.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I know that on the Doctor Who the one Doctor Who Reddit sub that I follow, everybody is just over the moon.
Oh yeah, it's like that on everywhere. Facebook pages and everything is like tons of excitement.
Yeah.
And I'm like in the middle of it, raising my hand slowly and going, let's not get too excited about this. And one of those reasons is if Russell T Davies comes back and they handcuff him and say, you can't do this, this, and this, and this, he may not be able to do the.
But do you think he would come back if they were going to do that? Don't you think the BBC is desperate? They went to him, said, "Hey Russell, we're desperate. We need you to come back to show us failing." Now he has them by the balls and says, "Well, this is what we're going to do, and I'm going to have complete control, and you're going to stay out, or I'm not coming back."
I hope so.
That's what
does he run Bad Wolf Productions? Is that his production company?
I think so. Yeah,
Because
him and Julie Gardner.
He's partner. It's a thing with Bad Wolf Productions. And so I don't know that the BBC is going to be able to do that much. Besides, he's the guy who rebooted the show. BBC is probably going to be thrilled. Is probably thrilled that he's back because he's what made it so popular in the first place.
Right, and he made it a big moneymaker, and now the show isn't a moneymaker anymore. I mean, I get Doctor Who magazine, and I can almost the last year can count on one hand how many times they spent on Chibnall and Jodie Whittaker because they've been putting more classic stuff on and older, the past Doctors on because they need to sell magazines. Right. And Chibnall and Jodie Whittaker were not moving the needle, so they had to go in a different direction.
Well, if the BBC is smart, they'll allow Russell T Davies free reign within reason.
Yeah, no more crazy Rose characters.
And and don't forget now, everyone's going, oh, if he gets free reign, then bravo, we're all set, we're golden. And I'm still raising my hand, going, well, wait a minute now, Russell T Davies is crazy sometimes. I don't agree. I don't personally agree with his vision of the show. I feel that he did it. That the characters didn't have any emotional continuity. They were kind of caricatures. They were kind of jokey. The show didn't take it seriously enough.
Sometimes the companion seemed more important than the Doctor, and it seemed to overshadow the Doctor.
Well, I don't mind that. I mean, obviously, you want the Doctor to be somewhat in the forefront, but I don't mind that once in a while.
I would
name an episode where that happened with Russell T Davies, though. I mean, he definitely.
I mean, with Rose. I mean, take your pick of any of the 2 seasons
that
she was in. I mean, she's
see,
kind of like. And
but
then you get then I don't want him to do the doctor like, oh, I miss Rose, that type
I
of
don't think he's
thing.
going to do that.
I
I
mean,
think
he's done
he's
that before. Like, maybe move on and do something different, like one doctor, and one companion, and not like the domestics, as Eccleston's doctor says, I don't do domestics.
well, and that's the thing that I'm worried about is I don't think Russell T Davis is the. I don't trust him. I trust him more than the other two, with Moffat and Chibnall. I think if he can go back to what he did before, then I think everyone will be happy because a lot of people bought into his era. I don't think the specials were really that good, but even season 4 and with Donna Noble, and before that with the you know there were amazing episodes involved in human nature, again mostly written by other people. If he can bring back good quality writers and bring back to that level, I will go, this is a lot better than it was. I'll turn around and go, oh boy, but that last episode sucked. I'm still going to do that because I still don't have the
Well, no,
confidence.
it's fair game. I mean,
No,
when we
yeah.
go and review it, if the episode sucks, we should say, hey, this episode sucks, no matter if Russell or someone else writes it.
But
yeah.
I'm sure
And
I'm
if
going to.
we don't like what Russell's doing, then we should say, hey, I'm glad Russell's back. So far, it's still better than Chibnall, but I don't like this part of what they're doing.
Yeah. And I still think instead of us saying it's not as, we're going to be saying it's not as bad as Orphan 55 and stuff like that. I mean, it just, I think we're going to acknowledge that if he can do it to that level, yeah, it's going to be better. But so now I talked about this before we recorded. We have two of our friends who were on Facebook who both said that they didn't like the Russell T Davis decision. And they both said that the show should be moving forward in a new direction with new writers and new producers and stuff. And my comment to that is they did that already. They did that with Chibnall. They did that with Moffat, and it's gone downhill every single time.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I
So
didn't
why
think
not bring?
Moffat was that bad, but
No, but I think he was. I think he got worse and worse as it went along.
I agree.
He had a
well, I
couple of
thought
episodes.
Capaldi's last season was pretty good because of, the different companion. Once he got away from the whole Jenna Coleman and Clara.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I like Bill Potts a lot. I think. Yes, I liked him as a doctor, but there was still some episodes that weren't that good.
Oh, I agree with you. There were some episodes that weren't, but there were some, there were more that were decent than bad.
Okay. I'll take your word for it. Let me take a quick look here. The pilot, Smile, Thin Ice, Knock Knock. I don't even remember Knock Knock. Oxygen,
There was
Extremis, the Pyramid of Lyle and Empress Samara's Eaters. A lot of them, they look mediocre to me. That last season looks a little mediocre to me, but
anything was that bad.
okay.
It was definitely better than the last 2 or 3 years that we had of Chibnall.
Previous season has a few others that I think are, well, even that.
Yeah, the one that you always go
No,
crazy.
that one, Heaven Sent. Oh man, that was. Anyways, yeah, I'm not going to sit there and go back and start, but yeah.
Anyway,
So can Russell T Davis come back, and can he do what can he? If anyone, first off, about that continuity, about what happened with the one of the biggest things that has really bothered most fans is what they did with the mythology, the history of the Doctor. He
the
created
timeless child thing.
the timeless children or child or whatever. They made this situation where the Doctor actually had many regenerations. A hero woman from Gallifrey went out, found a child. The child died and
Murdered it a million
regenerated,
times.
and then murdered it a million times, and is a hero now. She's like, wow, she's my favorite character. And the child regenerated a number of times, and so the doctor is not that important anymore. His regenerations are not that important because he's had 100 of them. That whole thing has really pissed off tons of fans. Tons of fans. Now,
Mhm.
how much do fans make up of the ratings? Very small amount, probably. Did it make other people upset that aren't fans? I don't know, but it made fans upset. A lot of fans hate the show now. If you remember, I don't think that bothered me as much as everything else about it. The bad writing, the slow, the telling of the. Oh, by the way, the doctor, your story was. We're going to tell you. I'm going to tell you, and we're going to draw little animated characters and stuff, and it just was horrible the way that they did it. And so, we've already talked about this for hours. It wasn't that good. Can Russell D. Davies salvage that?
Yeah, I don't know.
I think he can write out of what I think if they decided to rewrite what that whole thing and try to like change it. I think if anyone could do it, Russell D. Davies can do it. I
Well,
think
he's got
Moffat
a whole year and a half to do it.
to think about it. I think Moffat could do it, but then it would be confusing as hell and everyone would be like, what happened? But I think Russell T. Davies could do it.
Or he can just ignore it
He could ignore it. I
and
think a
just
lot of
ignore it and act as if that never happened.
yeah. But Russell T. Davies loves continuity and stuff, and I can't see him just sitting there and allowing that to keep
Or
going.
they could do like a Bobby Ewing thing and say, "Oh, it was all a dream."
No, I hope he doesn't do that because I think that's kind of really primitive. That's weak. And the other thing is, can he save the ratings? The ratings are low. They could potentially
Mm,
go lower.
I think he can stabilize, but with iPlayer and streaming and people getting it by other means, I don't think that he's going to save the ratings as much. I think he'll stabilize them. I think more people will tune in. I think every once in a while a casual fan will tune in if the show that they see an advert for catches their eye.
Well, and we talked about this. I think Jodie Whittaker's first episode got 8 million, and then it dropped significantly after that, and it started going down to fours. Did it hit threes?
It's pretty low.
Okay. So can he bring it back up again? I think if he can bring it up to Capaldi's era, 5, I think.
That'd be great.
I think that would be good enough for the BBC.
I mean, he's going to get once he returns.
He's going to get a huge boost just from
the curiosity factor.
just doing it again, you know?
And if he comes out with a really good episode to start with, that is good characters, good acting, good writing and everything, it should build from there.
So his first story that he's doing when he comes back is the 60th anniversary show, right? That seems to be what the article said. So he's coming out with the 60th in 23. So does his new show series start sometime in 24?
I don't know.
I thought they said he was coming back next year.
Well, you got to finish Jodie's. They're doing the regeneration story they did for the BBC 100th centennial. They're having this big celebration, so they made the special, and they're going to air it in 22. I think that's supposed to be September of next year.
What's special?
Her regeneration story. They just wrapped.
Okay.
It's the BBC wanted a Doctor Who episode for their 100th anniversary. That they're having this big thing.
Is that going to be like the Red Button special?
No, it's not supposed to be like a big. It's a big event.
Okay.
The Red Nose Day is a fundraiser. That's totally different.
Okay, so
things.
Before that, though, and that's for next year, then.
Yeah, there's like 2 or 3 specials next year with Jodie. At least 2. Maybe I'm wrong on the 3, but there's definitely 2.
So when does that kick off? Does that kick off the beginning of 2022, or does that kick off in the fall of 2022?
I don't know.
First season starts up soon, and then just the regeneration thing is going to be
next year.
That's
next
why,
year. At the
yeah, but
end,
that's
like that's the final. I mean, that's gonna be a final episode. It's a regeneration episode.
Right. I
yeah.
think there's like a New Year's or Christmas special. I think a New Year's special. And I
Well,
don't know if there's one in between that and the centenary.
my point is, we know that the 6 episodes or 8 or whatever it is coming out this year. But my point is, if they get to the specials early in the year, like they do one in January and March or whatever, then we could potentially see Russell T Davis back at the end of next year, like Julie said she had heard. And then
Mhm.
maybe he does a whole season, or maybe he does a special, and then he does the anniversary for the 2023.
I
If
was, from reading the article, I was under the impression that his first story is the 60th anniversary story.
Okay, and if they do that in November 2023, then we have a long ways to go. Because we're gonna
Yes,
have,
we do, because
yeah,
he's got to write and plan it.
yeah,
So,
okay. Well, they used to
and
do those things quicker back in the olden days,
yeah,
Jeff.
but you got to wait for the old woman, the showrunner and doctor
Yeah,
to.
Chris,
She's
Chris
still the
Chibnall.
doctor until
Yeah, I
that
know.
orange yellow flame comes out of her arms and head, and her face changes to the next person.
Yeah. So Chris Chibnall, take your time. Take your time. We don't want to rush you. We want you to come out with some sort of product that's going to give us 3 million people. Take 8 months to work on it, and that's worth it,
Well, he
Or
also has
do
to
do
audition
what they
doctors too.
do. What?
Doesn't he, Russell, have to audition the person he wants to be?
Yeah. My point is, and we've talked about this before, back in the 60s and 70s, they came out with 12 episodes, one a week, and they just kept going. They worked more. They worked faster, obviously. And even when 2005, they did, like you said it already, 13 episodes a year. Now we're doing an average of probably 6 a year, and it's taking forever. And it's like Russell T Davis can find a doctor, get the story written, and do it quickly. That's a year from now if it's 2022. Now we're looking 2 years.
Well, maybe his new season's going to start in 23, and the new doctor will be part of the 60th. Who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe
Okay.
I read it. Maybe, but my
Well,
impression was, I thought when I read it, I thought it was the 60th anniversary and beyond.
if that's the case, then that's fine. That'll give Jodie Whittaker plenty of time to go through the specials and stuff. But the longer it waits, and we've said this before, there's no consistency. A lot of people are going to even forget about the show is even on. So, you
I
know,
just wonder if Russell's going to continue doing his article in Doctor Who magazine again and do all that stuff, like update. Oh, the show is doing this and we're doing that.
I don't even know what Russell Davis was working on since he left Doctor Who. I have no idea.
Just a 5-part miniseries. I haven't watched it yet. Called "It's a Sin,"
Mhm.
about um, it's about being gay in the 80s, I believe. Yeah, the rise of the AIDS
Mhm.
crisis.
Okay.
And his partner was really sick too at one point.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, we talked about this before when they announced that Jodie Whittaker's next couple of years was going to take over 4 years or 3 years or however it was. COVID or not, it's still a long process. So we just have to be patient, I guess. But obviously we want the change. The sooner the better.
Yeah.
They need to rush it, not rush, but they need to get to it eventually. And who
How long
knows,
do you
maybe.
how long do you think they're going to wait to announce who they have as the doctor? I'm sure
They'll wait
Russell.
till like her close to her last episode, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, at this rate, if they're not going to start filming anything until the end of 2022 or even 2023, if they're going to do the special first, they don't want to pick someone too early because they'll be a couple years older by the time they actually film it. It's just,
Yeah.
it just feels like it's really slow moving, and it wasn't like that before. It would be pretty quick,
Mhm.
when they were filming 13 episodes a year. It's just, and maybe
Yep.
it's Chibnall for slowing the whole process down because you had said that, Jeff, at one point they were talking about, well, what's our schedule like? It's, what is Jodie Whittaker and Chris Chibnall that busy that they have to,
Yeah, it was just so weird how they did it. Just like, I mean, if he didn't want to deal with the schedule, and if she didn't want to deal with the schedule, then they shouldn't have taken the role or the job of the showrunner.
So, so my biggest concerns are, will Russell T Davies have free reign over the show? And I think all three of us are kind of in agreement that they should allow him to do that. They would be smart to do that. Um, that doesn't mean that we're going to get a season of perfection, but maybe in the fans' eyes, the fans will go, well, Russell Davies is back. Well, he just created an episode called Orphan 56 that was just as bad as Orphan 55. No, bravo, it was Russell T Davies. So there's a level of that could happen, which is good for the show, even though it's bad for people like me who are like, no, wait. Before you applaud that episode, it sucked. But at least in theory, the ratings should go up. In theory, fans should be more happy, hopefully, and
Mhm.
not be
Well,
upset. If they fix the issues that Chibnall has created, then fans are going to be happy. The general public, I don't know. They might not care.
They probably won't. I mean, a casual fan is a casual fan, for a reason.
Mhm.
I don't know too many casual fans of Doctor Who.
Yeah.
You're either all in or you don't watch it.
Yeah.
yeah, you're right.
Now,
That's
in terms of regressing, that's what these two people that went on Facebook had said. They wanted to move forward. They didn't want to go backwards, which is, so here I am defending Russell T Davies saying, oh, no, he would be a better decision. I, I don't know. Would he be better than Joe Smith that they just hire I don't know.
I think they went safe.
Yep, safe.
Like I guess when we did this, when we did the Doctor, they went safe. They went. We know what Russell's like. We know
Yeah.
people like Russell. Russell did really good. He's a fan of the show. He's high energy. He loves it. Blah 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 blah. He'll do a good job. We don't have to worry about Russell.
I bet you they give him a ton of money.
Well, yeah. You kidding me? He had him by the balls. He goes,
Yeah.
"Your show is floundering. You're coming to me on your hands and knees saying, can you be your savior and fix it?" I'm like, come on. I bet damn right he probably got a shitload of money.
It reminds me a little bit like Jonathan Turner, because Jonathan Turner wanted to leave the show after a few seasons.
But that was kind of different, though. They threatened to cancel the show if he left.
Yeah, and
And he
Jonathan
stayed
Turner,
on because he didn't want the show to end. Yeah.
yeah. And so that was almost the opposite. It was almost like they said, I don't think Russell T Davies is coming back, when they say, well, maybe did they, did the BBC say, well, the show sucks right now, we're just going to let it die, and Russell T Davies has swooped in to say, I'll save it.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I think
So,
BBC went to him.
yeah. So, um, so if he can bring back the creativity, the good writing, that's a big step, and that will automatically bump up the ratings a little bit.
Yep.
Word of mouth. If his first episode, whatever it is, if it's a special, whatever, if it's really good and gets those good um, appreciation scores and gets good ratings, then word of mouth could potentially bring the show up to a good rating level, maybe.
Kind
But he has to come up with some really good episodes. If he comes up with a New Earth to start off with,
of.
I don't
New
think
Earth.
he's going to, though. I mean, he's already done that. Why would he do it again?
Well, I mean, I'm saying an episode that's bad.
Well,
Yeah,
as
I
a
know.
guilty pleasure, New Earth is actually enjoyable to watch. I said it's a guilty pleasure. I didn't say it was good.
What, New Earth?
Yes. I kind of enjoy it sometimes.
Well, that's fine. My point is, if he comes out with a clunker to start with,
Like Love and Monsters?
yeah. If he comes out with some experimental episode that,
Do you
only
think for the 60th he'll ask Moffat for help?
why?
Well, because if he brings back other doctors, he can ask Moffat about how to write for Matt Smith and how to write for Capaldi.
Well, how about this?
We know Eccleston won't be in it.
He comes back for the special, and he hires Moffat to write it.
He did okay with the 50th.
Well, but I mean, I'm just saying Moffat's a better writer when he's under someone else's control, I think. I mean, when look at the episodes that Moffat, it's just
It's like night and day. The
it is.
episodes with, because Moffat had someone to rein them in. I always thought that the new series should have had a script editor along with a showrunner.
The Empty Child, Dr. Dances. Is that not like a classic? That's like Girl in the Fireplace. Unbelievable.
Blink.
Just we're in a different world right now. Even Silence of the Library and Forest the Dead was really, really good. And then, now we get into his stuff when he was, 11th Hour, I thought was okay. Beast Below.
Moffat just couldn't do a season ending thing.
Time of the Angels, Flesh of Stone, I thought was pretty good. I mean, his first season, he wrote pretty good episodes. Then he got into the whole Impossible Astronaut, Day of the Moon, and The Good Man Goes to War. Ugh.
Let's kill Hitler.
Oh.
Hey, this could be a podcast all its own.
Yeah, they get really bad. And then, well, he had some good ones. Asylum of the Daleks, I thought was really good. And the Snowman.
Hey, I like that one. That's not bad. Oh, you don't like it because they did the little stupid special effect with the snowflake with teeth.
Yeah, doing it once is kind of like, ha 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 ha. But they did it again and again, and it's like, oh God. Yeah, he's not horrible when he. I mean, The Day of the Doctor was pretty good. So some of his time.
I'd just be curious to see what he's going to do. I think it's going to be. It might even just be a David Tennant story or something.
Stephen Moffat did Dark Water and Death in Heaven. Oh, God. I don't know. He did Heaven Sent, so Moffat.
Anyway. This could be a podcast all its own. We're talking so.
But we're talking Russell T Davies. I think it's a good decision. It's like you said, it's a safe decision, because if they brought in someone that we've never heard of that's a soap opera writer or whatever, we would be like, huh?
And if they did horrible and the tanked even more, you probably wouldn't be able to salvage the show at all. You'd have to cancel it, wait 5 or 6 years again, and then bring it back.
And if Russell T Davies comes in and the show tanks and doesn't do well, it's going to die too. I don't think they can.
But at least they went with someone who knows the show. At least they went with their best shot, and if it fails, it fails.
And give him credit. And you guys, someone said this already. We've said it before. He was the one who brought the show back in 2005. He's for good or bad. He brought in a popular show. He made Doctor Who popular again. He, whatever he created resonated with a bunch of people, and new fans were created, a new, more popular than it's ever been, to the nth degree. He was part of that process. He not single-handedly, but he kind of was that whole. If he can do that again, maybe that's what they're looking for, then the show could be, back to until someone else takes over from him years later, and then it'll go back downhill again. So, I mean, it's a good decision.
Well, this is it. He might just be the last showrunner, and once he's done, they might just put it on the back burner for a while.
Well, maybe, but if he brings it back to a level of popularity, I don't think anyone's thinking that it'll go back to 10 million or 8 million or however. But if he can bring it back to a stable environment, maybe it'll be good for a few more years. I mean, do you think it's going to go as long? What was it? How many years did the original series go? 26.
And Russell will be starting with series 14. We're
a little over halfway, or we're about the halfway point right now of going 26. Certainly a lot less episodes, but could we go as long as the original? Maybe not. the environments have changed. Back then, there was only there was only a couple programs on each night that you would be able to watch. In Britain, there was like, you got your BBC One and, ITV or whatever. There wasn't much. Now there's thousands of things you can watch. So it had, like every other show, they all have competition, and a lot of them are better. So, but I think it's a good decision. I think we all are in agreement. I'm not as, I'm not sitting there bringing my Doctor Who stuff back out and going, we're back in a golden age here. I'm a little nervous still, but.
Well, it's definitely reignited by,
Yes. I think for fandom, it's a good thing. It's probably the best thing, until the episodes suck, and then it's going to go back down. But it's definitely interesting. It's any other person, we would have been like, yeah, whatever. But this is definitely, like you say, it's re-energized a lot of things, and I think a lot of people who said they'll never watch the show again are now going to wait and watch when Russell Davies comes back. And I hope everyone's right. I hope it's really good, and I hope it brings the ratings back. I'm more a ratings person, but I definitely want quality episodes. And if he can provide writers with 2 or 3 a year, I'll be happy, because it's something to look forward to. It just sucks that we have to wait so long now. Do they have a date yet?
No, but people keep saying it's got to be next month.
Well, good. And we're going to continue to follow that follow that show, and review it, and that'll be good. It'll be fun. But now we have light at the end of the tunnel.
Indeed.
Right. Alrighty.
But I don't know. Anyways, anything else?
Nope.
No.
Okay. Thanks for listening.